الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله والسلام عليه تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Last week we talked something about the hukuk of animals in Islam. And if you walked out of the masjid understanding that the khutbah was about the hukuk of animals, you missed the point. That was a secondary issue. That's a peripheral issue. The point that we tried to make last week is the simple point that we do not need kuffar with all of their ashkal and all of their anwa and all of their alwan. As a Muslim, we're not in need of anybody coming to us telling us about the religion and how to worship Allah. Last week's khutbah was about the nifaq of the West, of Europe, how cats and dogs and animals are more important than the lives of people, especially when those people are Muslims or people of color. That's what the khutbah was about. But the main point of the khutbah, Ya Abdullah, is for you and I to stand and to know kuffar can come to us and tell us about the deen. They can come and they can tell us about technology. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions benefited from some of the ulum that the non-Muslims had during their time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in the deen, how to worship Allah, anything that they have that's the haqq, it's already in our deen. But our deen gave us ziyada. Today is another glaring example of that. And tomorrow and next week, inshallah. It's a glaring example that the Prophet brought everything that we need to know. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As you know, one of the greatest personalities after the prophets and the messengers is Umar ibn al-Khattab. He got a piece of paper, and that paper, all it was one piece of paper from the Torah. It wasn't the whole Torah. He wasn't trying to memorize it. He wasn't trying to make tatbiq of the Torah. He wasn't trying to do the hudud or the adab of the Torah. He was just reading it qira'atan. Mujarrad al-qira'ah. That's all. He came to the Prophet and he was reading it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Nabi, not knowing the ilm al-ghayb, Ya Muslim, Ya Abdullah, Rasulullah doesn't know the ilm al-ghayb. He said, Ya Umar, what is that? Umar said, it's a piece of paper from a Yahud who's my job. Rasulullah's face became angry like a Rumman. And they used to know his anger in his face. Not because he picked up knives and threw it. Not because he picked up things, shoes and threw it. Not because he started effing and jeffing and swearing and cursing like a mad, crazy man who's majnoon from his ghadab. They saw it in his face. And he was a serious man. So when the people around him saw it in his face, they took him seriously. Where some of us, we're not serious. We're not serious in paying bills and working and taking care of the idara of whatever needs to be taken care of. So when we get mad, people around us, they become afraid only because you may hurt them. Rasulullah, the people respected him because he was a man. Bima'na al-kalima. Umar continued to read, and Abu Bakr saw what happened and got his attention. When he saw that the Prophet was angry, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Umar said his famous words. And this is why he's a wali from the awliya of Allah. A'udhu billahi min ghadabillah wa min ghadab rasulillah. I seek refuge in Allah from Allah being angry and Allah's Prophet being angry with me. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Radina billahi rabban wa bil islami dinan wa bi Muhammadan rasula. And then he said, he used to always say this. We as companions, as an ummah, whoever loves me and respects me, Umar, then we find Allah enough as our Lord. We find Islam enough as our deen. We find Muhammad and his sunnah, his example, enough for us. That's what the wali from the awliya of Allah said. When the Prophet heard what he said, he told Umar and the rest of the people and told us by default. sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ لَوْ بَدَى لَكُمْ أَخِي مُوسَى وَاتَّبَعْتُمُوهُ وَتَرَكْتُمُونِي لَضَلَّلْتُمْ عَنْ سَوَاءِ السَّبِيلِ وَوَاللَّهِ لَوْ كَانَ مُوسَى حَيًّا مَا وَسِعَهُ إِلَى اتِّبَاعِي. Hey, Ummah al-Islam, Musa was a strong person. To deal with Bani Israel, you have to deal with the Yahud. You have to be strong. You have to be strong in your body. Musa punched a man and knocked his lights out and killed that man. Musa was not a weak person. He was physically strong, and he took no shorts and played no games. A wali from the awliya of Allah. And the Prophet told him and the companions, فَمَا بَالُ, what's our situation? He said, if Musa, wallahi, swore, if Musa came out and you people chose to follow him and you left me, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you would have gone astray, clearly astray, from the Sirat al-Mustaqim, from the Sabil al-Haq, from the Subal al-Salam. You would have gone astray. He said, wallahi, again another time, if Musa was live right now, he would have no choice except to follow me. So when Isa ibn Maryam comes back, he's following this Sharia. When the Prophet went to Bayt al-Maqdis, and no one knows if it happened in the month of Rajab, 27th of Rajab, we don't know. Don't celebrate that stuff. When he went to Bayt al-Maqdis and he prayed with all of the prophets and the messengers, they prayed behind him as the Imam. So our religion is not in need of anybody, a wali from the awliya of Allah. Some of us on these turuq al-Sufiyya, nasallallahu al-afi wa salama. The only tariqah that the Prophet left is the tariqah of al-Islam. And al-i'tisam and al-tamassuk with the sunnah. Not al-i'tisam with a shakhs from the ashkhas of Bani Adam. May be religious, may not be religious. Kadhab, sarraq, yasruq min amwal al-nas. So the wali, I don't care who he is. Khidr, I don't care who he is. Abdul Qadir Jailani, I don't care who he is. Any wali, and kana wali and haqqa, any wali. If he comes back, he's under the Sharia of al-Islam. And if a Muslim believes that a wali, your sheikh, is not subject to the Sharia of al-Islam, you are kafir billahi. ذلك بأنهم كرهوا ما أنزل الله فأحبط أعمالهم. No one's outside of the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So his sheikh doesn't have to pray. His sheikh can do whatever he wants to do. La wallahi. We're going to hold everybody accountable in this deen. أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاء شَرُعُوا لَهُمْ مِنَ الدِّينِ مَا لَمْ يَأْذِنْ بِهِ اللَّهِ. We don't need anybody coming telling us about the religion. From what clearly shows us that is what's taking place right now with this rain and this wind. If you've been living and you're living in the UK and Leeds, you know that these are the days that there have been these storms, these wind storms. Just like animal rights, Kuffar can't come to us and tell us anything about no rain or no wind. Because in our religion, everything has been revealed to us. Everything you need to know, Abdullah, about the ahkam and the adab of the rih and the rain is there. So some of us have been up since Fajr or whenever you got up. And we walk to the masjid. And coming to the masjid on Friday is from the Ojab and Wajibat. But do you know what to do when it rains? Do you know what to do when the wind blows? Because the Nabi of Islam taught us all of that. But because of qillat al-ilm, the Muslim doesn't know. You came to the Jummah, and that's beautiful. Did you know you don't even have to come to the Jummah when it's raining? If you wanted to stay home, you can stay home in this rain. I came upstairs, I saw one of our Lala Saabs, one of the uncles. He was walking, old man walking. May Allah give him life. Ahyahullah, on the Sunnah Islam. When I looked at him, I said, if that was my dad, I'd have said, Dad, stay home. Uncle, stay home. You don't have to come out in this rain for Jummah or any prayer. So in our religion, these days, there's going to be these windstorms. You know they try to make al-Islam look like it's a religion that's in it at the khalluf. I say, yes, we have some Muslims who are backwards. Where we come from, we're backwards. And we dropped the ball, and that's why we're here. So when I come here, I'm not here bashing these kuffar. I'm going to bash ourselves first. I say, hey, I'm a father. I can't send my children to my enemy to learn. This is the month of LGBT, Pride Month. Pride Month. My 3-year-old kid, 3 years old. He goes to nursery school. Last week, they had my child playing with LGBT rainbow stuff. When I put him in that school, I told them, I don't want my kid doing any holidays. You have to let me know. I'm sensitive to LGBT. I'm not trying to tell you people to cater and to tailor the curriculum to my child, because I understand this is a government nursery, but it's non-denomination. Don't teach them any religion, and when you do that, let me know for the holidays. Last week, under the radar, they didn't let me know, knowing damn well that I'm against that. And they're going to do it anyway. You think if they're doing that to my kids, they're not doing it to your kids? Our kids don't know about sex right now. They don't know. But this is the dawah that they put on us. We're not in need of you giving us tarbiyah about how to grow our children, man. We don't need you for that. Our religion tells us all of that. So my point here is, as a Muslim, our religion has been made clear to us. And when you don't know your religion, you lock yourself out of a lot of rewards. And one of the biggest rewards is that you walk on the face of the earth with izzah, because you know your religion. When you don't know your religion, all they have to do is do this to you. They blow on you. And then when they blow on you, you start tap dancing. Erupts to what they're playing. But if you know your religion, you don't have to get crazy. You just sit down and you talk to those people. Look, I'm a man. This is what I believe. And I respect that even if they don't believe, if they don't agree with you. So as it relates to this rik, in the next few days, inshallah, they said that we're backwards. You know what Islam? Allah or his prophet, neither one of them called the wind and the hurricane by a woman's name. Whenever there's a strong wind, whenever there's a storm, they call it by a woman's name. Why do they call it by a woman's name? Like this storm, Eunice. Why? Because in their mind, the woman is a mushkila. And then they're going to turn around and say, Muhammad married a girl at the age of 11. And then we'll say, no, it wasn't 11. It was really 21. But Imam Bukhari mixed up on the numbers. He married her when she was young. Our grandmothers and grandfathers got married at 13, 14, 15. What's the problem? In their book, you get married young. They got plural marriage in their book. So the point is, they name these storms after women. Where's the respect of the woman? Why is it called Eunice? We say that that's sexist and that's misogynistic. And as Muslims, we don't always have to be on the back foot, defensive. All we have to do is know our religion. As it relates to this rih, what do the non-Muslims know? That it's coming from the south, the west wind, that's it. In other saying, we know everything we need to know. The Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, brought a book. And that book talked about things that are important. And when things are important, Allah swears by those things throughout the Quran. And from what he swore by and what he said, وَالذَّارِيَاتِ ذَرْوًا, I swear by the wind that scatters things around. Because the wind in everybody's life is important. Why would Allah swear by the dhariyat and call the surah al-dhariyat? Those are the winds that pick stuff up and take it here and there. It can be dust. And it could be something I saw in the YouTube that a dustbin was flying around. A trampoline was flying around. This stuff can come and hit someone and kill you if Allah wanted. So from what Allah mentioned about the wind is that the wind is a junud. It's a jundi from the junud of Allah. It's a soldier from Allah's soldiers. He can help people with it and he can destroy people with it. So the Muslim has to do a ta'amul. He just doesn't come outside and say, oh, it's a windy day, and put his jacket on and keep walking. He doesn't say, oh, it's a rainy day, just keep walking. He says that this rain came recently from my Lord. So if it's going to touch me, I'm going to put it on myself for barakah. Not get in the rain and get wet, soaking wet and get sick, but I'm in the rain. I'll put it on myself. I take some of that rain in and put it on my baby. Because it has barakah from Allah. And because that's what the Prophet used to do. Sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. So this rain, ikhwani, as well as the wind for the Muslim, there's certain things we should do, certain things we shouldn't do. The Nabi taught us that the rain is a bushra. A bushra. It's a give of good news. هو الذي أرسل الرياح بشرى بين رحمته. Allah sent the rain and it's a bushra before his rahmah come. Allah sends the wind. So the wind comes as a muqaddimah from the muqaddimat of the rain. So when you feel that wind, we know, inshallah, the rain is coming. And Allah mentioned it's a bushra. It's also a bushra for negativity. The Arabs had ikhtilaf. The word bushra, is it only for good news or is it for bad news too? It's for good and bad. From the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, akhi, when you pass by the graveyard, you don't know who's in that graveyard. He used to say, Nubashirukum bin nar, and he would say it 3 times. What's good about that? Nubashirukum bin nar. In that graveyard are people who bothered the Muslims. In that graveyard are people who make ahkam and things that bothered the Muslims on a global level, international level, local level. So don't pass those graveyards and just pass it. The Muslim is a person who's mutafa'il, muta'amil with things that are around him. He's not one of those people just walking around. It's all about money, that's all. So the bushra could be good, it could be evil. The Prophet, as Jabir ibn Abdullah narrated, they were coming from a trip and a big wind came. The wind was so big and strong that it covered up the caravan, put dust all over them, and it was a bad smell. The Prophet of Islam said to his companion sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Inna hadhihi bu'ithat li-mawt munafiqin fil Medina." This wind came because a great munafiq died in Medina. Not a single companion said, "How is that, Ya Rasulullah? What is that?" None of them said that. They began to hold their noses and put their thumb over their noses. When they got to Medina, they were told one of the chiefs of the munafiqeen died. They fell down and sajda, shukran lillah. So does that mean every time a wind comes, it's a munafiq? It could be, I don't know, you don't know. But that's what happened with the companions. That the wind is a bushra. Bushra as it relates to the adab of Allah, the rahmah of Allah, the rain that's coming, or that Allah Ta'ala has made the izala of an enemy from the enemies of Islam. That's how the Muslim is. The wind comes, he says, I wonder what was that. From what we learned from the authentic kitab, from the book of Allah and the authentic sunnah of the Nabi, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. And this is important, ikhwani, this is important. The Arabs used to do a lot of stuff in Jahiliyyah, and they still do it now. The Arabs are all kuffar. From this member, I've talked about the virtues of the Arab, to make it clear. I'm not afraid of anybody. If you disagree, we'll discuss it. But that's the position of the Imam of Islam that we love, we honor, based on dalil. But does that mean everything Arabs do is right? Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that at all. But the Arabs used to do a lot of stuff. Islam came and said, don't do that. And the Prophet was sent to the Arabs and from the Arabs, because as it relates to the language, as it relates to the level of akhlaq, as it relates to rujula, all of those things, the Arabs were above everybody. They were above Africans. They're above Yahud. They're above white people. But now, if the Arabs don't take the responsibility of the mas'uliyah, then the Ajami slave who's a Muslim can be better than him. So one of the things the Arabs used to do is when the wind came, the wind knocks your tent down, blows out your fire, compromises your life in terms of comfortability. So the Arabs would do what? With their lack of iman billah the correct way, they would curse the wind, just like they would curse the time. If one of them lost his arm, one of them lost his money, they would curse the time. So the Prophet came and told them, La tasubbu ad-dahr, inna Allahu ad-dahr. Don't curse the time. Someone died and you say, make time be cursed, because you're cursing Allah indirectly. So when the wind came causing problems, they would curse the wind. The Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, La tasubbu ar-rih, wa innakum idha ra'aytum minha ma takrahun, falyaqul ahadukum, Allahumma inni as'aluka khayraha, wa khayra ma fiha, wa khayra ma ursilat bihi, wa a'udhu bika minha, wa min sharri ma fiha, wa min sharri ma ursilat bihi.
That's our deen. Kuffar don't know anything about that. Dua because of the wind and what to do inside of the wind. And everybody needs it here. But he doesn't know. He's an Arab and he doesn't know. As for the new brother, the revert brother, I say, hey, he's struggling. We struggle with the language. We struggle. What's your rhythm? Oh Allah, I ask you for the good of this wind and the good that's inside of this wind and the good of why you sent it. And I seek refuge in you from the evil of the wind and the evil what's inside of this wind and the evil of what has been sent with. That wind can kill you. Knock the pole down, la samahallah. The pole hit you in your head. Electric pole come down and electrocute people. It can kill you. And it's an ayat from the ayat of Allah. And that ayat is, it doesn't take corona to kill you. The next meal that one of us eats, it can be poison, salmonella, you die. You chirp on a bone, you die. Car accident. Death is closer to us than our jugular vein. That's the point. And we're going to sit and have those people who are worried about what the non-Muslims say. I don't care what color they are, what religion they are. People talk about their Christians and pushing and pumping LGBT and pride. You're a Christian? You're a Christian? And the story of Lot and his people are in your book. But what can you say? What can you do about a group of people who say, how do you know Allah? How do you know God is a man? Maybe he's a woman. Maybe Allah is an untha. That's what happens with Bani Adam. When there are no quyud, when he feels the hurriya, just do what you want. Say what, no, not in this deen, yahi. You can't do what you want. And then someone, he comes and he says, well, I sign up for all of that. But tell me another hukm from the ahkam of the rain and the ahkam of the wind. From the ahkam of the wind, Ya Abdullah, is we can combine the prayers when there's a wind that's shadid. Anything that makes us afraid of our lives and our property, you can combine the prayers. There's a circus that came to town. 2 of the lions, the tigers, they escaped. And they're on the loose. You don't have to go to Salat as long as those lions are on the loose and they can eat you. Did the Prophet ever combine a prayer because of lions being on a... No, never happened. Did he ever combine the prayer because of the wind? Kalla, never happened. But he combined the prayers for no reason. And in Medina, he combined Dhuhr for a rakat, Asr for a rakat, 8 rakat together. And then he combined Salat al-Maghrib, 3 rakat, Salat al-Isha, 4 rakat, 7 together. Abdullah ibn Abbas, the narrator of the hadith from the companions. Ya Abdullah ibn Abbas, why did he do that? He told them, Mikay la yuhrija ummata, so that he doesn't make things difficult for his ummah. So now we have martial law. The government said to us, curfew. Anybody who goes out, we're going to get you because the riots. There were riots in London, riots in Liverpool, riots in Leeds. The government say nobody get caught outside. You go outside, you don't have to come to the salat in that condition. Because of your fear, Al-Islam came to protect you, to protect your money. So where are the non-Muslims going to come? Tell us about our religion. And wallahi, ikhwani, this is just one of the many examples. One of the many examples, Ya Nabil, Ya Abdullah. If we just learn our religion, we'll learn how to navigate through all of this mess that we have to deal with. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق والسداد. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. A lot of times, ikhwani, people come up and they say, my mother's in the hospital in ICU. My sister's in the hospital. My cousin, my wife, my husband is in the hospital. This happened, that happened. Can you make dua? Listen to me carefully. We make dua for each other in the Dhahr al-Ghayb. I'm asking you all about Allah. I'm asking you about Allah. I'm not just asking you. I'm asking you on Friday while the rain is coming down. Friday. The hour the dua is accepted, inshallah. I'm asking you on Friday from this minbar, on this day. Make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, to guide my mother and my father to Al-Islam. Not to the khurafat of the Muslims, Al-Islam. So we make dua for each other. We'll make dua for your sick, your dead. But it wasn't the practice of the Prophet ﷺ to come and ask the Imam on Friday, make dua for this, make dua for that. Because if we open that door, everyone has someone who has some need. So every week we'll be saying, make dua, make dua, make dua. That's number one. Number two, we'll make dua for the one who gives money, and the one who doesn't give money, the miskin, we don't make dua for him. So it's nifaq, social nifaq. If we're going to make dua for one, we make dua for everybody. We don't make dua for one, we don't make dua for anybody. So from the minbar, for the last time, as far as I'm concerned, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal by His Ism al-Azam to give shifa, inshallah, to all of our Muslim relatives who are in need of our dua, in need of that shifa. Ourselves, we ask Allah to make and give us all shifa. The sicknesses that we have in our heads, in our hearts, in our bodies, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make it easy for all of us. From this day on, don't ask me to make dua. I'm not against you, but if we open that door, everybody can come. Everybody. Hey, look, I need it, and we'll just keep making those dua. So the Prophet, he didn't do that, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah make it easy for all of us, establish us on the kitab and the sunnah, and make us truthful in word and deed. And may Allah ta'ala make us rijal, people who take this religion the way it's supposed to be taken, in the aman of the religion. And with that being the case, I'm asking you, our masjid is in need of your sadaqah. I'm not begging, I'm telling you, the masjid needs your sadaqah. So donate and give generously on this day. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم أقم الصلاة يرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.